We could pull it up. Let's find out all the things.
What do you got to go to salon.com?
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 heated moments on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Now, no, Gary, I'm responding.
But that's what I wanted to get to. So let's say we all agree that global warming is real. I don't believe it's real. Okay, so I can't sit here.
But here's the question. But why have a belief? You're trying to find a way to be right here. And
I'm not.
It's weird.
I think I'm repeating exactly what you just said.
For this list, we'll be looking at various moments from Joe Rogan's podcast in which Rogan and his guests vehemently disagreed. Which of these moments did you find the most awkward? Let us know in the comments below. Number 10, Nick DiPaolo. Conservative comedian Nick DiPaolo is known for his strong political opinions, his appearances on popular radio shows like Opie and Anthony and The Howard Stern Show, as well as his daily podcast, The Nick DiPaolo Show. While appearing on Rogan, he and the host began arguing about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Rogan stated that Trump was a persistent liar, but DiPaolo begged to differ, sarcastically undermining sources like the Washington Post.
What are you pulling up?
I don't know.
Washington Post?
DiPaolo held the opinion that the mainstream media was twisting Trump's words, even asking Rogan at one point to define lie.
Lies about what? First of all, what's the definition of a lie?
Fed up with his lack of solid arguments or, anything resembling facts, Rogan accused DiPaolo of resorting to whataboutism.
A whataboutism?
Yeah, when someone talks about something and instead of refuting it with facts, they go, yeah, well, what about Hillary? What about Bill? Bill did it too. What about this? What about that?
You're gonna tell me
whataboutism.
That's what I just committed.
Number 9, Jamie Kilstein. We're going way back for this one.
So it's an unfair comparison. But murder's worse.
Rogan and visiting comedian Jamie Kilstein began discussing whether it was appropriate to make jokes about sexual assault, which eventually spiraled into a heated debate. The argument turned to whether assault or murder was the worst crime, with Rogan arguing that murder is worse. Kilstein countered that there's a stigma attached to being assaulted and that the victims are forced to live with the trauma.
It is worse. Murder's worse.
This results in one of the rare moments in which Rogan truly loses his temper. He actually yells at Kilstein, calls him crazy, and tells him that he's talking nonsense.
Jamie, you're talking nonsense. You keep bringing up feelings, keep going to weird shit and victimization.
The fact that Kilstein later had to leave his internet radio show, Citizen Radio, due to manipulative, emotionally abusive, and predatory behavior towards women just adds another level of awkwardness to it all. Number 8, Milo Yiannopoulos. Perhaps one of the most controversial figures of our day, to put it both mildly and kindly, Milo Yiannopoulos is a prominent far-right figure who once served as the editor of Breitbart News.
So you're not religious?
No, I believe. I don't necessarily go to mass all the time, but I
do
believe.
I'm
a Catholic. I would call myself a Catholic, yeah.
He holds many contentious opinions, has been banned from numerous social media sites, including Twitter and Facebook, and left Breitbart amid accusations that he supported romantic relationships between adults and children. Presumably, all of that contributed to Rogan's very confrontational approach to his conversation with Milo. The topic turned to Christianity, with Yiannopoulos describing himself as a Catholic. Rogan mocked Yiannopoulos' beliefs, and Yiannopoulos attempted to end the conversation then and there.
So a dude dressed like a wizard sitting on a golden throne.
All right, we're done.
And you have to call him father.
However, they both continued to prod, resulting in an awkward and heated conversation about the merits of religion.
This an individual to treat religion with the amount of contempt you do. This is what assholes do. This is
not what assholes
mediocre
do. Mediocre
intelligence,
is
militant
exactly what you
atheists
accuse
do.
feminists of doing.
No, it's not.
You're distorting the argument.
Number 7, Jack Dorsey, Vijay Gadde, and Tim Pool. While Jack Dorsey is comparatively tame compared to Rogan's usual guests, that doesn't mean his appearances on the show went as planned for anyone involved.
Is there any consideration to expanding it further?
Not right now. We're.
How about 1 million characters? No?
The first episode with Dorsey was a disaster, with fans deeming it dull and dissing Rogan's lack of confrontation. This prompted Rogan to apologize on his show.
I didn't think the podcast would create such a controversy, but that's probably poor prior planning on my part.
It also resulted in a massive course correction. Dorsey returned to the podcast with Twitter's chief legal officer, Vijaya Gotti, answering questions from anti-corporate political commentator Tim Pool. The episode lasted 3.5 hours, with Pool warning of a snowflake avalanche and arguing that Twitter uses its ban on hate speech to discriminate against conservatives.
The concern is that this is always leaning towards the left.
Oh, it absolutely is, and I'm not even getting started.
The conversation was tense, to say the least. Number 6. Stephen Guillenet and Gary Taubes.
Now, what is your disagreement with Gary's position? Everything?
American journalist Gary Taubes is a questionable figure in the field of diet research. Some of his views surrounding carbohydrates, insulin, and obesity have been repeatedly criticized, with books like Good Calories, Bad Calories receiving mixed reviews from mainstream publications. This is mirrored in Taubes' conversation with neuroscientist and diet expert Stephen Guillenet, who penned the acclaimed 2017 book The Hungry Brain. He and Taubes get into a very heated argument regarding obesity and insulin resistance, with Guillenet going on a near 20-minute tangent about the science behind fat storage.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
As long as it's very brief.
Just a question. I still don't quite understand what the model is.
Okay,
I mean, I understand the dysregulation of the brain with the environment.
If you don't understand the model, how about I finish laying it out and then you can ask a question.
The whole episode was tense and hostile, complete with high levels of pettiness and rude condescension.
We should really talk about this because that's incorrect.
It's in the textbooks.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about what's in the textbook. Don't worry, Gary.
Number 5, Eddie Bravo. Despite being an expert martial artist and founder of his own style of jiu-jitsu, Eddie Bravo is perhaps most well known for his hilarious and often insane ramblings on the Joe Rogan Experience.
In general, it's history, science, education, energy. Everything has always been controlled by the government since day one.
Bravo is a prominent conspiracy theorist and one of the most outspoken proponents of the flat Earth theory.
Have a seat, have some coffee. My name's Eddie, and I believe the Earth's flat.
They're getting knocked down.
Hi, Eddie.
All you gotta do is look
Eddie,
into
they're
it.
not. They're not.
This belief results in an uncomfortable moment on the Joe Rogan Experience. As Rogan dismantles Bravo's belief, his sources of information, and the flat Earth theory in general. The argument eventually devolves into incomprehensible screaming.
Eddie.
I used to say the same
Eddie,
stuff.
you're talking about the Earth being flat. Thousands of scientists have looked into it. You think they're all wrong?
Rogan eventually calls Bravo's beliefs insane. His frustration is readily apparent. Number 4, Candace Owens. Candace Owens has earned fame and controversy for her pro-Trump politics and outspoken criticism of Black Lives Matter.
Like, Trump came in and was like, no, like America.
Owens became national news after the perpetrator of the tragic events in Christchurch in 2019 explicitly mentioned Owens and her influence on him. However, despite her contentious views on everything from race and gun control to queer rights, women's rights, immigration, and the COVID-19 pandemic, it was her flippant comment denying the existence of climate change that prompted a vicious argument between host and guest.
This is the climate change? Yes, the climate changes. It was different weather yesterday than it was today.
Rogan proceeded to bring up scientific studies, exposing her as uninformed and warning her to be careful what she says owing to her public influence.
How about not have a belief until you really have looked at the
so you
data?
would prefer if my language, as opposed to admitting that I do not know this, I wouldn't die on this hill, I've never made a video, I've never made a public statement, you would have preferred if I had just started by saying I have no opinion.
Number 3, Adam Conover. This famous comedian is perhaps best known as the host of Adam Ruins Everything, an educational comedy program that sees Conover debunking popular myths and misconceptions. While appearing on the Joe Rogan Experience, Conover and Rogan begin to discuss the idea of trans athletes in professional sports.
There's a bunch of advantages in terms of reaction time that males enjoy. It's some significant difference in reaction time between males and even untrained males versus female professional athletes.
Outdated terminology notwithstanding, Conover and Rogan represent two distinct sides of the topic, with the guest asserting that sporting events should be as inclusive as possible, and the host postulating that trans athletes would have an unfair advantage over their competition.
People don't know who they are. A 7-year-old You won't even, people don't even give their 7-year-old phones. You don't let them vote. You're going to let them decide what sex they're going to be for the rest of their life?
The debate only intensifies when the conversation shifts to the topic of children and gender-confirming hormone therapy.
I don't think
I have not
there's
done this
research
topic on
that
my show.
shows the positive benefits of children transitioning. I don't think that exists.
Well, we can't solve that in this conversation right here.
Number 2, Brian Dunning.
I read about you. Coming. No, nothing's coming.
The infamous episode featuring author Brian Dunning was contentious and aggressive from the start. Dunning often writes and speaks on scientific skepticism, being the author of numerous books and the host of the long-running podcast Skeptoid. In 2008, Dunning included Rogan on a list he wrote titled 10 Most Wanted Celebrities Who Promote Harmful Pseudoscience. Rogan is irritated from the start, and he continuously counters Dunning's talking points.
Well, it's just factually inaccurate on so many different levels. I don't understand why you wrote it like that.
This includes Dunning's claim that the reason you poop and pee is because you ate more than you needed. Rogan is typically quite cordial and welcoming to his guests, even the most controversial ones. But in this case, listeners and viewers could feel the tense hostility.
I could turn this around on you and say it would be so easy for you to research all those different things on that list that you accuse me of, many of them which are not true at all and never have been true, but yet you printed them.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, Steven Crowder. Depending on who you ask, Steven Crowder is either a popular conservative commentator known for his contributions to Fox News and daily political show Louder and Crowder, or a racist, homophobic, white supremacist, and neo-Nazi who has had his content demonetized by YouTube on more than one occasion. Rogan and Crowder enjoyed a few drinks throughout this episode, which certainly added to the unhinged animosity between them.
Hold on. Stop.
No, hold on a second. This is
you
because you just
interrupt
want-
way too much.
No,
You need to stop.
You talk in
Hold on a
paragraphs.
second. No. I don't talk in
Go ahead.
paragraphs. I make full points.
The topic of conversation veered towards marijuana use and legalization, with Rogan arguing for its use.
Since marijuana legalization, highway fatalities in Colorado
Since you
are
called me
at
hold on a second.
near
Since you called me hold on a second. Since you called me
historic
A debate regarding marijuana quickly spiraled into a full-on 40-minute argument, with Crowder calling Rogan a bully, and Rogan throwing back patronizing names like Cutie and Sweetie.
for some reason you're turning it into something hostile that it really doesn't need
It's
to
not
be.
hostile.
It is. It
might
is.
be to you.
Yeah, it is.
You feel weird about it. I feel great.
It is.
Rogan later issued an apology through Instagram, writing, "Well, this one went off the rails for a while." Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.